Welcome to the Morning Blessings, where you will get the vitamin you need for today. My name is Tessa-Marie, and we have a great topic for you today. This topic is unusual for me. Hello, Stacy. How are you on this sweet, amazing, nice, hot morning in Toronto with the rain? Yeah, we had a thunderstorm last night. Hi, Peter. Hi, Lynn. Good morning, wonderful people. Look at the topic. Do not duck, you young people. Hi, Loretta. Good morning. How are you feeling today? I know you were not feeling well. Stacy is shining, so I know your turn will come. This topic was requested because, listen, I gave you guys the opportunity to give me an idea for a topic. It's not because I'm running out of ideas. For some reason, it is available to me and it gets downloaded by God, my angels, the universe, the stars, the moon, the sun. I don't know. But when I get a topic, good night, Peter. When I get a topic, I go with it. So this topic is on grief and grieving. Now, somebody asked because I said I would. And there it is. Now, the other topic that really pushed me to the edge was wisdom. Because there I am thinking I didn't have it because we have to be old. And remember, I was older before, now I am younger. I told you guys that on Sunday. And some people took offense to that. It's how you feel. So back then I was older and I could eat anything. But now I am younger. My body tells me what it wants to eat and I follow that. So grieving I'm going to explain something about this part right there, right? I'm going to go into it from here. I actually meditated on it for days. Grieving is huge and very important. Grieving is personal, very personal. I am unable to say how to grieve. I cannot tell you, or anyone can tell you how to grieve. But I can teach you how to prepare for future grieving. That I can do. Because you see, I have gone through it myself. I was asked to talk about how to deal with grief or losing a loved one. Something like that. I was asked to talk about that. When I spent time in meditation on how to help or advise on the grieving process, I was guided to talk about the actions we take each day on the journey called life. Those actions determine how we grieve about the loss of a loved one. And somebody is here. Hi, Gavi. Good morning from Dominica. Auntie Dawn is there. The poet said to us, "Give me the rose when I can smell it." And some of us, we take that and we actually make it make sense in our life. Some of us heard it when I brought it up. Some of us read it, like me, and a long time. And I started teaching that to my children and how I desire to be treated, to my friends. I do not need your criticism. I need you to be there, to give me that little bit of you that is special. I stopped some crazy ladies at a gathering from criticizing the younger women wearing what they wore 30 years ago. And that is because we do not choose when we die. We do not choose how death. They say that death comes like a thief in the night. They taught us, though, different things about death. One of the things I know for sure is that it's inevitable. There is no way around it. One of the things I know they do is that they teach us to fear death. Acceptant of others, when grieving time comes, we spend time going backwards. But when they were alive, we did not accept their ways, their attitudes, their energy, their aroma. And I spoke to somebody the other day, which is funny, and I said, do not make a saint out of somebody when they weren't a saint, just to satisfy you. So grieving is really personal. That's what I said. Yet, in the Hindu religion, we are told we made the appointment before arriving on planet Earth when we will depart. I studied it a bit to understand that. We come in this world with a time, and how we live through that time determines what happens when we die. There are many cultures where grieving is dealt with differently. In some African cultures, they cry when you are born because they don't know what your future will be. And in some other and in that same culture, they will dance when you die because you have passed through the journey called life. In some cultures, like ours, we are taught to avoid dying at all costs, which creates fear. We are told that dying is fearful, it's not nice, yet nobody knows where we go or what happens if the energy lives on. And if the energy that I am, you are, becomes the energy that gives the trees and the earth light, although we are buried. They said dust to dust, ashes to ashes, we came out of that. Although we know it is inevitable, we are still confused with this thing called death. What we should be taught instead, I believe, is being made to fear the unknown in a different way, not to fear it, to realize it is the unknown. We can never know it. This unknown called death, we are taught to fear it. It's how to live our life. No, each day is what we should be taught. But no, hi Colin, good morning. So hi Nancy, good morning. So this is what happened when I went in and I decided, yes, I'm going to take that topic. It's a difficult topic. That topic can cause anger. And somebody said, let's talk about grief and grieving. And I decided to go into prayer, meditation, walk about, sit in the garden, in the pergola, think it through. And of course, you know me, I will always reference something or someone. Give me the rose when I can smell it. Yet, there are cultures around the world, the older you get, the more you are respected, the more they talk to you, the more they sit at your knees, at your feet to hear you, the more you can hold counsel because they believe you have something to impart on the new generation that's coming up. Many people will tell you, but a lot of movie stars, because these are the ones we hear, my grandmother did it. My grandmother raised me. My grandmother taught me. My grandmother supported me. My grandmother, told me I would be a washerwoman like her, Oprah said, but she said she decided not. So you see, good morning, Kathleen. How are you feeling today? So many of us do not understand grief and grieving. Yet, what we should do about it is to prepare each other for that. And how do you prepare for grief and grieving? We want to avoid it. Some people are going to get angry about this topic. Some people will not be able to stay there and listen to what I have to say. I am not going to tell you how to grieve. I will not going to tell you the importance of how you grieve or what you grieve. No. What I can tell you, I can talk to you about is how to live your life with people in your life. There was a woman that was on CNN and she always spoke about politics, 58 years old. Her name was Alice Stewart, I think they said. And she passed away. They found her dead outside, 58 years old. So that's midlife, right? Then you have those that die much later. And you certainly for sure have those that died really earlier. And then we say they went too soon. And if you said that to a Hindu person, they might say no. They went when they decided to went. That's how they will tell you. They decided that process and they went at the time. The thing though, what is important is the birth to the death. That part of anybody's life is extremely important. And where are you in that spot? Where are you? Because that's the journey. That is the journey. So when we can't and we have guilt, grieving and grief brings guilt. You hear that. Oh, if I'd only known, I would have treated them better. But it's not treating them physically better. It's touching a human being every day besides yourself in a good way, in an uplifting way that will enable all of us to grieve how we desire. I express my grieving process with my parents. My mom died almost in her 90s. I can't remember. The point of it is I didn't cry. And others took big offense about not crying. So what I said is that the woman was tired. She birthed 8 kids the old-fashioned way. No doctor, assistant, midwife. Well, the last 2, she was in the hospital. But even then, she went through that. She started off with businesses from creating just a little bakery, or not even that. My father's people were the one with the wealth. So when they got married, they gave them this piece of land. And they built a house with she holding on to the lamp, a kerosene lamp. He was an architect, a builder, whatever. And that's how they built the house I was born in. 6 of us were born in that house. And in the yard, his family, as I said, are wealthy. They have factories and distilleries and plantation, literally, and estates and whatever. And, so she decided she would make eggnog and whip the white of the eggs to a peak, take it on a tray to the factory her in-laws own, and sell it to the men at $1, which is like $0.25 a glass. On Friday at 2 p.m., when they were getting paid, she would go there so they could pay her for the week. The entrepreneurial spirit in her just kept growing. And she went and she turned around and she started, he created a little bakery for her, a little oven out of bricks. And I'm sure it was not high because she's not tall. And she started baking little cakes and taking that, no, she has 2 things to sell. So that's the woman that died that day. And the story goes on and on. Kathleen's father keeps begging me to write the story about my mother. So that bakery came to a point where 300 pounds of flour was being baked every day, right next door to the house they built by hand. And then he was away studying, and she bought an estate for 48 pounds. When she went to the auction, there were only men. But she had an edge. The money was in her purse. So when this man outbid her, she stood up and she said, but I can pay you right now. So they went with her because it was cash right there. So that's where Dawn and Eric and all of them have gone to rest in their retirement years, except me. I might visit a bit, but not stay. So anyway, so when she passed away, I didn't cry. I also saw when there were things that happened in the bakery or the grocery store or the liquor store or whatever she created. My dad once said, and he was right, I made money, but I have no idea how much money I own. I have no idea. Mother took it all. So how can I grieve that woman? She was a mother, so she disciplined. She was a parent, so she disciplined. She was a grandmother, so she disciplined. Is that what I'm going to take with me? Or am I going to take with me who she was as a person, as a woman? She decided, because they traveled a lot, she said, if Marlene Dietrich can wear pants and Kathleen Hepburn can wear pants, I want pants made so when I travel. So she was always pushing the envelope. So in grieving, I remember that. There was no reason to cry. But you know when I cried? When I looked at my father's face. That's when I cried. I didn't cry for my mom. I cried for my dad. Because I know he lost his lady, as he referred to her. So, what we do with grieving is how we live with them when they're leaving. We miss them. As I said, my family still laughs. I got back to work at the bank after her funeral in Dominica. And at around 11, I always call the estate. I did this with my hand to grab my phone on my desk, and I realized, holy shit, nobody's going to answer the phone. Was I sad? No. Because when it came to those two human beings, I gave them my all. I gave them my best. I don't know why I did that, but I did. I remember going home, and there was the Christmas ball, the red and white ball, and everybody was going. My dad looked at me that evening and he said, are you going? He said, you're not going, are you? And I knew when he said that, he would prefer to see me spend the evening with them, so I didn't go. I wanted to go, but then I learned things about him. I used that time to ask questions of both of them, their love affair, how they started off. So I didn't grieve. So when my dad died, I was contented. I was contented because when he came up to my mom's coffin, he said, she looks like she's sleeping. That's all he said. And then when he died, he looked like he was at rest. He was sleeping. Because he did his best in bringing us up. They did their best. They gave us the best. My dad was so stern that we call him Pharaoh. He did not hold back. There were 45 people in some classroom I was in, and I came 3, and he asked me, why are there 2 people ahead of you? And I said, well, I guess they were better. He said, no, they weren't. They just applied themselves more diligently than you. You had to do some work. You had to clean 10 steps, and 2 of them you did not scrub the concrete step properly. You weren't sent back to just to brush the 2. You were sent back to brush all 10. Simple as that. So that's where I come from. So grieving, to me, is a choice we can make on how we grieve. And it is okay to grieve and cry and all of that. But we must learn, if we made mistakes about how we treated our loved ones or the friends, or we think we didn't do right, we cannot fix it. And the pain will continue to hurt. The regret, as I have always said, will never, ever go away. But now we know better. We can do better. So those of you who have people in your life, even if it is a friend that you're going to create a vegetable stock with, do it well. Allow them to breathe their breath. Allow them to be themselves. If it is a child, allow them to be. Yesterday, I was in the garden, and Kylie thought the best thing for her to do was to step on my tiny little spinach plants. And I said, you shouldn't do that. And I kind of moved her, picked her up. I said, I'm just going to throw you on the grass. So anyway, my daughter came around and she said to me, you can be a little bit more difficult with her. I said, no, I don't have that time for that. I want, when she remembers Grammy, she remembers I was allowed to bloom my own way. She's going out in the world to school already, maybe all day long. She hears, no, you may not. No, you cannot. I don't want her to believe that that's what life is all about. In Grammy's house, there are no rules, really. When you take her home, you can fix whatever you find that is broken. Because her memory is what is important to me. Sitting on my mother's knee, letting her sing to me, education is better than gold, than silver and gold. The other one told me the gift of prayer, my mother's mother. She took me to the shrines. So when these people exited my life, I was younger for my grandparents. I did not understand all of it. When my husband, though, who chose to smoke, not because, I don't know, I have no addiction, so especially smoking, so I cannot force this human being to let go something that I don't understand. He respected my space by smoking outside of the house and in the garage, anywhere but there. He would come to talk to me in the garden, and he would put the hand with the cigarette at the back. I respected that. But there were so many wonderful, amazing things he did in his life. His kindness, his encouragement. He had a determination that he couldn't bring out. But he saw it in me and he pushed it up. He has empathy. He had more patience with educating the children. I would say go get a dictionary. By the time he was done with the meaning of a word or the origin of that word, he would have done the entire essay for them. So they just absorbed it. They would walk in the kitchen and walk away. I am still reminded of his behavior by my 3 grown children to this day compared to mine. My son told me, Mom, you were a raving maniac in the 80s. It was discipline, all of that. And I go, oh, well, that's what it is. And I don't care, right? So when we grieve, we hurt, we miss the person, and it's okay. But each one of us has to grieve in our own way. I can only tell you how I grieve. When the casket was leaving the church with my husband in it, I was smiling. Because the song they played was his favorite hymn of the church. He did it his way. When people ask me how you feel about Brian's death, I said it just feel like Brian was sitting in the garden. There's a spot where he sat to smoke. When he died, Kathleen's parents, her brother, Kathleen doesn't drink, so she wasn't involved in this, and Jillian, they started using all their wine bottles, take it back to the liquor store, and instead of buying, they don't buy cigarettes, so they said they'll use their wine bottles, Sir Patrick, and collect it, and they bought this chair that can withstand the weather, and they placed it there. Then they went further, and they got a plaque. They put the Irish flag and the Canadian flag, and they said, reserve for Brian Hood. That's his spot. Last week I'm saying to Corinne, I have to get a special chair for you. She said, no, I'll just sit in Brian's chair. I won't have a scotch or smoke, but I'll just sit in Brian's chair because she has something wrong with her leg. But what I am saying this to you for is that he left his mark. He just took his hat when he was fed up of this life, put it on his head, and I always said, he walked diagonally out of the garden. I don't know where. But that's how I feel about my husband's death. Because I did tell him that he was important. I did tell him I love him, I cared for him, I understood him. I tolerated his smoking because I couldn't fix it. I wasn't there. The children tried everything. They had coffins hanging in the bathroom just so he could see them. He didn't care. He couldn't fight the addiction. That was the addiction. So when we want to understand grieving, we should understand living. For us to grieve well, or to grieve to our satisfaction, not even well to somebody else's satisfaction, but to yours, we have to understand it's the living that controls how we grieve. So I am 78 years young, so I might repeat myself several times. A choice is to tolerate that from someone else, then turn it into laughter when I'm gone. Instead of taking me and place me in a home somewhere and leave me to allow flies to sit on my lip when you know I wouldn't like that. Or we can encourage me to continue to keep my mind going and have the patience that I had with Kylie yesterday. No, I am once a man and twice a child, the saying goes. So when I come into my second childhood, find out what it is I had acquired and learned in my adulthood, my one adulthood. Listen to the elders. They too have a story. Look at where the world is right now. everybody's into herbs and spices and oils and lotions from the woods and the this and the that and the mushrooms and the, right? That was old. And now it's new again. So the knowledge that the older generation has, that's what we have to remember to take. And if we treat others, older people, with respect and kindness, or we treat young people and let them be, they want to wear a short skirt that's way above their waistline, then knock yourself out. Because gravity is going to teach you a lesson soon enough. And that's what life is about. Grieving is life. We can only grieve at the same level we live life. That's how we can grieve. So the thing is, remember all what is amazing about those we love that has passed on. And be grateful to their spirit, to their energy, because it hasn't really left you. Hey, I remember you. You have a card in my room, right at my front door. You open my vestibule at the door. You'll see there is a half moon table, which can be a circle. On there is a picture of everybody that passed on that was important to me. And there is a light, the eternal light. Every morning, I stop by to say hi. I walk through the hallway, I see a picture of Brian, and I go, hey, what's up? That's me. So what are you going to do? Because they went into the earth, or they were cremated, or they were cooked, or whatever, they haven't really left you. The joy is to come out, come open, and realize you are who you are today because they were part of your life. Yesterday I said that Sidney Poitier said he doesn't want to change anything in his past because this is what enables him to be who he is right now, and he loves it. So some of us grieve differently. We all. I cannot talk how to grieve because it's a personal journey. But all I know for sure, it is the journey that started when that person and you got together. And when the journey is like that, but when this happens and you're the only one continuing, the only thing that really matters is what you experienced with them when they were here. The regrets, it's too bad. We're going to have them. But we cannot change them, can we? So therefore, our only action today is to make sure we do not repeat them with those in our life in the present moment. That is why it is the now that matters. That is why you sit with your parents and you laugh at their jokes. You laugh at them. You sit with your grandmother and she chooses to dance in the kitchen with you. Or she tells you something sexy to do with your husband or wife. And you say, oh, she lives, she's living, she's alive. And the only important thing about life is to share. Just share. If somebody would touch us, especially a guy, my mom would say, because she was in commerce, of course, you only touch something that is for sale. She's not for sale, so don't touch her. Do I forget that? I can't. Did it mean anything to me then? No, but somehow it stayed there. But it allowed me to know that as an adult, I don't touch others. We hug. Our family is a hugging family. We fall over each other hugging. That's just how we are. And that started with them, with that root, her grandmother, my grandmothers. And we are also, I love you. We will call back on the phone to say to you, I love you, because we hung up without saying I love you. So I embarrass a lot of human beings in my life because I say I love you, but I really mean it. I do not want you to go away and not hear those last words from me, that I love you. I know you. I cherish you. I listen to you. I am happy and grateful for each and every one of those people on social media who comes, who choose to subscribe, who choose to follow me. I do. I'm happy and grateful for when Lorena goes to Dominica and she brings me the cinnamon and the nutmeg and the this and the that. I know when she was over there, she thought of me. And I will always remember that. So we have to realize grieving is part of the journey called life. And if we have some regrets about how we are grieving, and we know for sure, because if we choose to, we can go in and inflect on it. Why am I grieving? Why is it so terribly? Is it something I regretted? We can still allow ourselves to fix it by dropping by the energy of that human being through a picture, through a thought. Remember when you told me I was really too much? Remember when you told me I should shut up? Well, guess what? You know what? I learned from you. I learned how to be a lady. I learned how to be calm. I learned how to stand up and let them know that I'm not going to put up with this anymore. All because of you. We can always say to the energy of the person so that we are free of the burden of carrying the regret of us that, hey, I loved you. I love you. I understand this. And I'm looking forward to one day being the person with those qualities you had to share with others. And remember, every experience on this journey called life is part of living, and it's also part of grieving. Let's make it count. So, I don't know whether I satisfied the request of that person that asked me to talk about grief and grieving. I don't know, but I poured my heart out to you. And if it changes one person's attitude towards another, mission accomplished. I feel good about this because no one can tell you how to grieve but you. Have a wonderful, fabulous day. Let me see what we have here. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Nancy, Stacy, Arita, Yuko, Jean, Colleen, Gavi, Loretta, and somebody called Pani Lishisos. Oh, what a name. Guys, thank you for hanging on. And I'm sorry if it offended you how I spoke about grieving. And I'm sorry if it tickled you and you're angry. I'm sorry if it took you down a road you didn't want to go. And I am happy if you realize, no, I can change that by treating those in my life right. Your father, when last you spoke to him? When last did you send a note to a friend you haven't seen for a while? You don't have to say much. Good morning, how are you feeling today? I was thinking of you and I just wanted to connect with you. Have a great and marvelous day. Simple, not much, but it matters, doesn't it? Because that person will know in those moments you were thinking of them. Bye. Today is 27 degrees and rain, so I have to maybe be in and out of the garden. I'm looking forward to this. Have a great and wonderful day. Thank you for giving me this topic. I enjoyed doing it. Have a great day.